All right, looks like we're live. Due to current circumstances in my life right now, I got a bit more free time on my hands currently, so why not use that and live stream a bit more? So that's what I'm doing. A couple of things I want to talk about tonight, and I don't know how long this will go, and maybe I'll take questions, or I don't know, maybe even a caller or two. I don't know. But a few random things. Sorry, the video echoing in my ear there. I want to talk about the YouTube censorship stuff going on, specifically because there was a video getting passed around Facebook by the anal atheist on the subject, and also I want to talk about the site Comic Alliance shutting down. That's kind of interesting to me. Somebody says Rick and Morty Family. If you don't, what? Yeah, I did actually catch the Rick and Morty season 3 premiere. It was really good. But anyways, so the anal atheist video where he's bitching about the YouTube censorship. He talks about how he basically he thinks, I don't know, he was talking to some other fedora, and he thinks that the atheism brand is getting censored by the YouTube advertisers. I don't know if that's true or not. It could be. YouTube advertisers are it's ridiculous how they are right now. But he decided he was going to take the atheism off his channel. So he renamed his channel. Like if you look for him now, he's under TJ Kirk is his name. But then he wanted to change it back to Amazing Atheist. And he couldn't. YouTube wouldn't let him apparently. Because his name didn't fit the community guidelines. I have no fucking idea why. I guess because of the atheism thing. That was his theory. It could even just be that they're trying to force people to use real names now for their channel. I don't know. But anyways, he's all like, and of course he does. Oh, if I was promoting some ancient scriptures or some ancient text, I guess I'd be okay if I was Muslim or Christian or something else that promote it. And of course, this is how he put, homophobia and transphobia. It's always fucking gummies with these atheists, isn't it? That's always what it boils down to. I'm not saying there aren't valid intellectual reasons to be skeptical of religion in general and, even the existence of God. But you just notice it always fucking comes back to the cummies with them, doesn't it? Particularly with an absolute degenerate like TJ, which, who is, admitted to fantasizing about cannibalism and toddler butts. It's just, it's always either just fuck you, dad, turning up your music all the way, or it's just cummies. It's just, I don't like religion because it tells me there's certain things I shouldn't put my dick in. However small in TJ's case that dick may be. That's what it is with TJ. End of the day, if there is a God in heaven, TJ shouldn't be disgracing himself by putting bananas up his butt. And he doesn't want to have to deal with that reality. So, there just can't be a God. It's always anger on their part. It's always, God tells me what I can put my dick in, so he can't be real, or I don't like him. God, atheism is such a fucking joke. The atheist community, it's a fucking joke. Just absolute fucking joke. But anyways, the YouTube censorship thing. Look, and I've seen like certain people do videos on this, and there's always that one jackass in the fucking comments. YouTube's a private company and they can do what they want, and they're usually the same people that are telling you have to bake a dildo cake for a faggot or you're going to lose your bakery. But yes, YouTube's a private company and they can do what they want, but should they? There are arguments to, that maybe they have a monopoly, that kind of thing. But in general, I'm of the mindset that, freedom of association. But there's a difference between can and should, particularly in a free country. We should be able to understand that difference. Otherwise, you're not going to have a free country for long. because there's plenty of things in a free country people can do that they shouldn't. And this is not good for YouTube. YouTube's trying to become, just more corporate friendly and support the dying corporate media, and it's foolish of them. But it is what it is. I've never gotten a penny from YouTube ads. I think I've had ads on these videos, but it was back when my channel was so small that nothing nothing would have come of it. Maybe now I could make $1 or $2 off of it. But I don't have it on. I don't want to rely on it. Most of the channels out there that do well and that are going to continue to do well, they're going to do well because maybe they, have products to sell people, books, what have you. And I don't mean just politically. I mean in general. Gaming, entertainment, whatever you. Or they're going to have Patreon. They're going to have private sponsors, like even I do. I have individual sponsors that come to me, and I read an ad during the course of a live stream. That's how you got to do this. Everybody's just bitching about YouTube and all. Like, they're not going to fucking change because you're bitching. I mean, that's cute and all, but just ignore it. Don't fucking use their AdSense then. That's how you're going to do it. Rely on things like Patreon, donations, selling things, individual advertisers with specific businesses you have. I mean, I understand that, that's a little bit more difficult than just clicking a button and turning on your ads, but that's how it's going to have to be. It is what it is. For somebody like TJ bitching, doesn't his fucking drunken pissants thing get $10,000 of fucking, for fucking money coming from Fedora spending their good boy points on it? $10,000 a month, that's nothing to sneeze at there. How many fucking more dildos do you need to buy a month there, TJ? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I understand everyone mad about the YouTube censorship thing, but I mean, I knew this was coming, particularly after how the Trump thing went. You had to know it was coming. Don't rely on their handout. Just really don't. I mean, isn't this what we were all making fun of Darkside Phil for a few months ago? I mean, he was kind of, I hate to give the guy credit, but he was a bit of a canary in the coal mine because his finances were so fucking, absolutely tight down to the damn penny. He was, up to his asshole with debt, that as soon as the YouTube ad revenue started going down a bit, he was the first to cry about it. And yeah, we all mocked him for it. Like, fucking figure out other ways to make money off this. You're going to have to change the dynamic on it a bit. I don't know. There'll have to be changes made to a lot of you that do this for a living. Up until very recently, I had a day job, so this was a side thing for me. But in general, it's going to have to be worked around until such time as it's fixed. And that's just something everybody's going to have to accept. I don't like that, but it is what it is. It's funny too, TJ bitching. They're like, don't my listeners drink Coke and buy Nissans and participate in this capitalist gangbang? He just can't help but sneer at capitalism while he's trying to engage in capitalism. Oh, what a fucking piece of work that guy is. Like, I didn't even disagree with almost anything in the video. It's just, what a contemptible piece of shit he is. It's, ugh. When you're such a piece of shit, you're too much of a piece of shit that the channel awesome people think you're a piece of shit. It's something right there. Let's see. The other thing I want to talk about is Comic Alliance, the comic news site that shut down here finally, and that's good. That was one of the worst. And I mean, the Newsarama and comic boards, I think it is, or not comic boards, whatever. CRB, I think, is comic book resources, something like that. The other ones are pretty bad, but Comic Alliance was the fucking worst. Here's some tweets from the guy who ran Comic Alliance. I and Miles Shaw retweeted screen caps of these here. It's from October 22nd, I guess, this year. Or this past year, I mean. The one tweet, when I look at straight men, I don't see my gender. I see my oppressor. They are not me and I am not them, and I want to be free of them. The cuck levels here are off the charts, by the way, folks. I'm reminded of how I code switch around them, how my entire body language changes because I'm afraid of them, how I won't be me with them. Straight men are fucking terrifying, and I see them in the drunken mobs, and I'm reminded I am not, as the culture defines it, a man. Well, you are not, in any meaningful sense, a man. And this was who was determining what fucking issues of Spider-Man you were allowed to like. All right. This is the cancer that has so thoroughly hurt the comic book industry in the last few years. If it hadn't gotten scooped up by Disney and was pumping out tons of movies, Marvel would be fucking finished right now. Because they can't sell a comic book to save their soul, despite greater interest in their IPs than in the entirety of that company's history. Nobody has ever been more interested in Marvel Comics characters, but the books are unreadable. And it's this sort of culture in that hobby that did it. And that's why his site's dead now. I guess he wasn't getting enough Soros money. I don't know. But that's why he's dead. Another interesting topic. I mentioned I recently lost my day job. Well, I'm not alone in my misfortune. Good old Josh McIntosh tweeted out here recently. Well, it looks like I'm going to have to move out of San Francisco. It's just too expensive. And my pop detective project isn't self-sustaining yet. The fucking name recognition that guy had, and he couldn't sustain, and he couldn't launch a self-sustaining, whatever you want to call it, YouTube channel / tiny little online media empire. He can't pay his bills. With that kind of name recognition, shows you how hated this cocksucker is. Next tweet. I haven't got a full-time job because I know from experience it leaves very little time to make my videos, which I think are important. And the next tweet, especially in the age of Trump. You haven't got a full-time job because you're fucking unemployable. I suspect that's what it is. And you're lazy as fuck. And you're worthless. And that's, is it the leftist ideology that makes a person worthless? Or is it a person being worthless that gives them the leftist ideology? That's really just a chicken and the egg kind of thing right there. But yeah, I thought that was rather funny too. I mean, there's not much to say about it other than, ha ha ha, may he die penniless and alone in the gutter. Switching gears back just a little bit. I do want to the YouTube thing. I do want to say again, a lot of you who like this show, you really stepped up this weekend, and you donated. You were very generous with donations this weekend, and I greatly appreciate it. I want to make that clear. Tremendously appreciate it. I didn't even ask for donations on the Saturday show because I felt bad about asking for donations on a show I wasn't even doing. That said, what I'm about to say here, please know that I'm not saying this out of self-centered or self-interest here. But with all this YouTube shit, it is very important. And please, I'm not, take me out of the equation here. I'm not saying this about me. Don't misunderstand me. But in general, with this demonetization shit and all, like, support the people you like now more than ever. give $1 a month to their Patreons. You know, if they're selling shit, you know, buy that shit if you're remotely interested in it. You know, send them donations and stuff like that. I know that sounds self-serving. I'm not saying me. I'm saying whoever the hell it is that you really like out there, not even just politically, the entertainment wise and all. You know, because this is, you know, corporate media is trying to stab at the upstarts here in a big way. So, I mean, I mean that you really, you know, look into supporting the people you really whose work out there you really appreciate. That's very important right now. And I don't say that again. I'm not trying to I'm not saying that just for my sake. I'm saying that just in general. Again, you know, people in my time of misfortune here, people were very generous with me, and I greatly appreciate that. That is a big help, and it's very humbling and honoring at the same time. But as I have some free time here while I'm between jobs, I do want to invest some time into figuring my shit out on this channel just a bit more than normal. But yeah, support the people you like. You know, it's important. You know, $1 a month Patreon, that adds up for these people. You know, I don't even have a Patreon. I don't know if I have enough of a following to even get one of those up, be worth it. But that's a big help to people. So, you know, now's the time to do that kind of thing. I mean, you know, I actually think when I have full-time employment again, what I intend to do is take, you know, 10, maybe $20 a month, budget it, and divide that up among some people I think are worth it. It's a small way to help. But yeah, I would, people in the chat are talking about Michael Savage. This actually reminds me of something. I want to rant for a moment. I was out running an errand around the time Savage would be on, so I flipped on the 980. That's the local station I have where he's on. And, you know, I was under some power lines, so I couldn't turn it off. And a little bit of time goes by, and then I flip it on again. And Savage isn't on. You know what's fucking on? The fucking Baltimore Orioles game is on. Is on the fucking new. There is a fucking sports radio show a sports radio channel out of York. Can't the grown-ups have the fucking news channel? You know, when half the world's on fucking fire and half the government's trying to do a coup against the president, are we allowed to have the fucking news on then instead of a sports ball? That shit pisses me off so much. Because again, these same companies usually own a fucking sports radio show in the area or sports radio program in the area, and they still do this shit, and it pisses me off. So I don't know what Savage said today. I didn't get to listen. I wasn't allowed to because instead my baseball was on. And the ones in this area used to do this all the time. 580 out of Harrisburg used to every Thursday night, I believe it was, Hannity would be on, and they would preempt Hannity every Thursday night during college football season to interview fucking Joe Paterno for 90 minutes or whatever. This old fucking piece of shit. We just hear him ramble on about being a coach because it's just so fucking riveting to hear this old fucking piece of shit talk about, yeah, I yelled at some black guys and told them to throw a ball around. That makes me a hero in this area, apparently, to the extent where he can cover up for a pedophile and we're going to all act like that's okay. That's this area. You know, fuck Joe Paterno. You know, cocksucker should have been buried upside down. But yeah, I mean, look, if you like sports, you like sports. It's fine, you know. But the news channel is supposed to be the fucking news channel, okay? I wouldn't want to turn on 580 and they're talking about fucking Mario or Spider-Man. I love Mario and Spider-Man, okay? But that's not what the fuck I turn on the news for. You know, let's let the grown-ups have this fucking channel already, all right? He says, the fuck kind of area is that? Oh, yeah, the fucking sports ball is a big goddamn deal in here. And high school football is a big deal in this area. I think Texas is probably the only area in the country where high school football is a bigger deal. And I moved up here right around the time I was starting high school, and it was shocking to me. Shocking, because when the town I lived down in Maryland, high school sports barely made the fucking high school paper. All right. Meanwhile, I move up here and it's on the goddamn TV. I was shocked. This was like 98 or something. I was shocked about it. Somebody says, Bechtloff, what do you think of the Talking Dead bullshit? That's interesting because I often used to say something about sports ball that would drive me nuts is the post-game show. Because growing up, I loved shows like Simpsons and Futurama and Family Guy throughout my high school years is Futurama and Family Guy. And, that shit would always be preempted from football. And so I'd be stuck watching fucking post-game shows because I want to catch the show that's on after it, right? And I used to think, this is so stupid. Who the fuck watches this? Who watches a football game and then they want to hear a bunch of half-dead fucking former football players be like, hey, did you see that thing we just watched? Wasn't that cool? And I thought, man, people want to shit on geek media or geek culture, but we'd never fucking do that. We wouldn't have a goddamn show after a show where we're like, hey, did you see that show we just watched? Well, I'll be damned if the Walking Dead fans didn't prove me wrong. All right. Because lo and behold, they have a show that airs right after a show they like, where a bunch of fucking people are like, hey, did you see that show we just watched? Wasn't it cool? For a fucking hour or something like that, or half an hour, whatever the hell it is. Yeah, so fuck the Talking Dead, all right? Don't you have shit on the internet for that kind of stuff? Wouldn't you rather, a bit more amateur-ish guys do that, a bit more down-to-earth guys? Because then it's got that kind of feeling like you're listening to your buddies ramble on the show. Where the fuck you want to listen to Chris Hardwick ramble on about it? The fuck you even want to listen to Robert Kirkman ramble on about it, all right? Fucking Walking Dead TV show at this point, those storylines are so fucking diverged from the comic book at this point. Kirkman don't know what the fuck's going on in that show. Yeah, nor does he care as long as the check keeps clearing and he can keep sleeping on a pile of fucking money each night. Somebody says, God, I hate it, Married with Children. What the hell? Married with Children was the tits. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. What else we got on here? A bunch of people talking today. Playing sports is fun, but watching sports is boring, to be honest. I will give credit which credit's due. I caught the very end of the Super Bowl, and despite generally not giving a fuck about football, I found the end of this last Super Bowl to be very engaging. But I mean, that's the absolute most exciting kind of game you could have. This amazing come from behind victory right up until the end. I can understand people being invested in that sort of sports drama, but just your general games, I can't get it. Especially football, so fucking slow paced. I can't get into it. I can watch some hockey, and I can watch some basketball. Those are the only major professional sports that I'm likely to watch. I mean, obviously basketball, I'm not exactly the target audience for. But I've had buddies who were into it before, and I could sit down with them and watch it. It's fast paced enough. In hockey, I always had a soft spot for hockey. And I'll have hockey games on in the background sometimes, but I don't even follow hockey that much. Like sometimes I'll be wearing like a Capitals jersey, and somebody's like, "How are the Caps doing this year?" And I'm like, I got to be honest, dude, I don't fucking know. And it's like football. I can follow football season. I follow football season against my will. All right. I know who's in the Super Bowl each year against my will. I could go out of my way to try and not know that shit, and it's just to no avail. Hockey, you got to go out of your way to follow. For whatever reason, nobody in America gives a fuck about hockey all that much. I mean, it's not quite to the level of soccer, fucking poverty ball, where it's only goddamn people that probably don't belong in this country in the first place that like soccer. But yeah, hockey just redheaded stepchild of fucking major sports in this country. I don't know why. I think it's a pretty exciting game. I think it's way more fucking interesting than football. Which, by the way, speaking of football, I know Undertow mentioned in the live stream that he hates April Fool's shit, and I kind of agree with him. But there is some April Fool's stuff guys do that like it makes me laugh. Like some of the reviewers do just goofy. It's very obviously a parody. I don't like the April Fool's shit where they're trying to lie to you, like online. I like the stuff where it's just obviously a parody, which I realize is harder and harder to do these days. Generally, news stuff I don't like because the news is always outlandish. But Pro Jarrett, who's a reviewer I check out from time to time, he reviewed Madden 17 and he reviewed it like it was an RPG. And it was actually hilarious. I really liked it. He joked, he talked about the history of the series and he took like the numbering literally. Like he's like, it started with Madden 92, which was really weird. But then it jumped all, and after going in order, it jumped all the way to 2000. And then it went back to like, to 1, 2, 3, 4. And he's like, and to make it weird, there's also a Madden 64 somewhere in there. So this timeline is all confused. It made me funny. It made me laugh. I thought it was funny. Let's see. Somebody says, hang on. And this chat's going a little faster than normal. Somebody says Undertow is black. I know Undertow is not black. I can confirm that. Although I'm not fucking 1488, so I don't mind having black people on my show. I'm not fucking Daily Stormer over here. I can't get on board with the 1488ers because they're just too absolutist about it. Yes, race matters. It's not all that matters. Let's see. Madden games are the biggest waste of furniture. I could build furniture, or biggest waste of money. I could build furniture from their game discs. They're so cheap. Oh yeah, Madden game is basically worthless a year later. It's half worthless 6 months later. That is one example of just the most disposable of video game entertainment. I mean, they really shouldn't even do physical copies. That probably ought to be straight download only because nobody wants to go back and play earlier Maddens ever. It just nobody wants to do it. And I realize that like even game series that like the earlier entries are really absolutely made obsolete by later ones, people still want to go back. Like people still want to play the original Mario Kart, and there's kind of no reason to. But people still want to because it's just there's something about it. But for whatever reason, Madden never even finds that kind of old. Nobody wants to relive Madden 03. You know what I mean? They just don't. It's the complete. It's the most absolutely disposable form of video game entertainment. Let's see. Anti-Dem says, come on, Bechtloff, white people can make socialism work because the laws of economics will bend for the might of our Caucasianness. Yeah, that's the other thing. I don't like that. White people can make socialism work. No, maybe white people can make it work a bit longer before the collapse. That's the best you can hope for. No, like what, white people can't make 2 and 2 equal 5. I'm sorry to tell you that. It just don't work that way. Also, white people can't build a fucking civilization using fucking traps and sodomy either. I'm sorry to tell you that too. And again, I'm not even painting the entirety of the alt-white that way, but there's certainly a big segment of it, and I don't think they've got a great deal of quality control going on among them. What's your best NES game? SS? I don't know what SS means. Oh no, he's talking to someone else in the chat. I'm sorry. Well, I guess as far as me, what's my favorite NES game? I mean, all time, probably Mario 3. Um, I mean, that's just a personal one, but I mean, let me take a look at the ones I got here. Let's see. I got Arkanoid, Jaws, which is underrated. Willow, underrated classic. I got Little Samson. It's a repro cart because I'm not made of money. Bomberman. What the hell is that one there? I'm trying to read them from, like, and not get too far from the mic. Screw it, I'll stand up. Gargoyle's Quest 2. Kid Icarus. Mario 3 Mix, which is a fan-made hack of Mario 3. Super Mario 1, 2, and 3. The original Mario Brothers Arcade. Metroid. Rampage. Bubble Bobble. I got a couple of Zelda ROM hacks there. Outlands, and the one isn't, it's like a Japanese name, but it's just some ROM hack where you play as Zelda and you save Link. What the hell else I got here? Bonk's Adventure, Donkey Kong Classics, Donkey Kong 3, Nightmare on Elm Street, Excite Bike, Turtles 1, 2, and 3, Batman, Rescue Rangers, Darkwing Duck, and DuckTales. So that's my NES collection right there. I don't have a huge NES collection as far as like some guys, that got just shelves and shelves of them. Because, I mean, there's a lot of NES games that aren't fucking worth playing. And I don't want to own any of those, Let's see. Have I played Scooby-Doo Nights of 100 Frights? I have not. I'm not familiar with that game at all. Is it the classic Metroid label or the yellow label? It is the classic Metroid label. When's the face reveal, Bechtloff? My pictures of my face are out there, but it's nothing special. Bechtloff got a switch from being unemployed to unemployed. Yes, that's delightful, Auntie them. Thank you. I gotta tell you, I fucking hate being unemployed. I filed for unemployment today, and I did a little bit more networking phone calls with some leads I got going on here, and I just I don't like being. I mean, don't get me wrong. Having a day job sucks sometimes. Getting up, fucking going. I don't like getting up in the morning. Most of my adult life was spent on second, if not third shift. So even though I've been on first shift now for like 5 fucking years, I don't like it. I'm still not 100% used to it. All right. I got that alarm went off and I was like, fuck. But man, the only thing worse than having a job is not having a job. I mean, who the fuck needs this much free time? What the hell are you supposed to do with yourself? You can't even hang out with people. Everybody's at fucking work. Nobody's around to hang out with you even. But it's not that big a deal. I'm going to I'll be back on my feet soon enough, and I'm going to try and use some of this free time for some constructive things. Somebody says I've got around 60 to 70 SNES games, I believe, but that's since I got back and got the thing back in the day. I have even less Super Nintendo games. They're kind of fucking pricey. I mean, I've been sort of retro collecting since 05, but it was very casually then. Like the time I remember, like I also ended up getting a PS2 in 05. It's when I got back into games. But I remember going into a GameStop, and I knew they wouldn't have it, but I thought maybe you'd be able to tell me where I could find it, And I'm like, do you know where I could find a Sega Genesis? And this little punk kid laughed at me. It was like, this was like 5 too. It wasn't even that old at this point. He's like, you can try an antique store. I'm like, whatever, you little peckerhead. But my girlfriend at the time actually got it. Like, went online and found one for me for my birthday that year, and it was delightful. And she had found it and then Sonic 1 and 2. And I ended up getting other games for it, but Genesis is the one I've got the most games for because I've had it for a while. Plus, I get a lot of good ROM hacks on the Genesis, particularly Sonic. Let's see. What else we got going on here? GameStop is going retro. Yeah, but I hear they're really shit in how they're handling that. Pet the NES Punk has done a lot of coverage of it, and it doesn't sound like it's going well. And what the fuck would you go into a GameStop for? I mean, look, I have a local video games store in my area that's got 3 locations in my county and 1 location in the county over. I'll just press play. I love those guys because they do the retro stuff, obviously. But you can get the new games there, too. And then the north end of my county, it's a touch out of my way, but I'll go there once in a while. A Complete in Box, great store. Again, doing the retro stuff. But even my affinity for retro stuff aside, I just, GameStop is just an unpleasant place to shop. Just even the nicer ones are just not that nice of a place to be. You know what I mean? Let's see. Somebody says Sega CD is awesome. Snatcher, my favorite. I don't know. The only Sega CD game I know of that I'd have an interest in playing is Sonic CD, and I have that on a GameCube collection. So I don't. And to be honest, I think Sonic CD is kind of fucking overrated. I mean, it's all right. It's just the people are like it's the best Sonic game ever. No, it's not. It's no Sonic 3 and Knuckles, that's for sure. Let's see. Let's see. I don't know what some of these people are rambling on about. Nowadays, even retro games are more expensive than the current stuff. Retro games have gotten stupid lately. As far as retro systems go, the Game Boy is the best bet. That's some of the best retro gaming you can do at a reasonably cheap way. I mean, if you get a Game Boy Advance SP and you have a 3DS, you've basically opened up the entirety of Nintendo's handheld library from the original Game Boy to present. So, I mean, if I was keeping like 2 systems, it would probably be those 2. Like I goddamn near get rid of everything else first. Let's see. Retro games are gonna pop. Like, yeah, there'll be. I don't know if there'll be a pop. There's definitely gonna be a correction. And there needs to be. There's too many people who are in it for the wrong thing. I mean, look, there's a reason I said I have a Bonk's Adventure and Little Samson's repro carts, and a lot of these collector faggots say like, "Oh, repro carts! There shouldn't be repro carts," and because you might accidentally buy a repro cart. Well, you shouldn't be shelling out $700, $800 on a fucking NES game in the first place. And therein lies the problem. Why are you collecting? That would be my question to you. I have collected video games almost entirely because they're games I like to play that either I like to play, or I know, buddies would like to play when they're over, that kind of thing. I have a library of games to be played. Collecting like you're fucking running a museum. I don't get it. Have you played Super Castlevania 4? I have it on the SNES, and I have played it a bit. I haven't played through it in its entirety yet, though. Let's see. Emulate that shit. I don't have an emulator on here, though. I mean, I have gotten some stuff in Virtual Console, even though I generally don't like digital only content. Like I got Mega Man 5, the Game Boy game version, on Virtual Console, because it's the one Mega Man Game Boy game that's stupid expensive, like $100 or something. And it's like, what, $4 on the Virtual Console, something like that. Which, by the way, all the Gargoyles Quest games are on the 3DS Virtual Console. If you have a 3DS and you've never played those games, fucking download those games and play those games. It's Gargoyle's Quest 1, Gargoyle's Quest 2, and then Demon's Crest is the third one. It got renamed for whatever reason. But yeah, play those games. What's up with that Susan Rice thought? It sounds like she basically revealed a whole bunch of shit about how Trump was indeed being illegally wiretapped or surveilled, or however. I say wiretapped is the expression of what so many of the left like got all hung up on. Well, he wasn't literally wiretapped. Well, no shit. It's not fucking 1968 anymore. Nobody's literally fucking wiretapped. All right. That's not how it works anymore. That's just an expression. But yeah, it sounds like she tipped the hand, and I really hope Trump's getting enough of his people in the positions he needs to, so he can start arresting motherfuckers. I think that's what he's doing. You get a ROM cartridge play on retro hardware. Yeah, you could. Yeah, I have a few of them like that. I got a few ROM hacks based on Sonic games, and yeah, I like getting them on cartridges whenever possible. And yeah, I can get them to play on my Sega. I've played a few on the Super Nintendo. I played a few on the NES, and I prefer them as in cartridge form, I should say, over trying to play them online. Like there's a game you can check out right now called Super Smash Land, and what it is basically Super Smash Brothers kind of reimagined as an original Game Boy game. Now the Game Boy would never be able to have this kind of frame rate or smooth animation, but pixel wise, this is what it would look like on the Game Boy. It looks really good for that, and it's on like a 2-button thing and all. But that's only online. You and you know, Nintendo's lawyers haven't crushed it yet. I don't know. Nintendo, sometimes they seem like assholes about it. Sometimes they're not. Like they definitely let that shit hang out there for a while before they crush it. I think they want to let people get it, but then sometimes they're bastards. I don't know. I'm not going to totally defend Nintendo on that shit because sometimes they really are bastards. Like they were really bastards to. They weren't at first, but then they kind of were to the Metroid 2 remake guy. But I'm sure Nintendo knows of Super Smash Land at this point, but they haven't done anything about it. But yeah, do check it out. It's cool as hell. I would actually love it if somebody could, like, you couldn't. I don't think you could get it on an original Game Boy cart, but I think you could get it on a Game Boy Advance cart easily. Like, I mean. Well, let me put it this way: original Game Boy couldn't run it that well. The animation, the frame rate, whatever you want to call it, would be just choppy as fucking hell. Nothing would look that smooth. But a Game Boy Advance could probably do it. I mean, a Game Boy Advance was fucking 32-bit. And it'd be cool if somebody could port that onto a Game Boy Advance cart. Let's see. Nobody expects the Thought Inquisition. Let's see. Somebody says Nintendo also shut down that Pokemon game that those guys. Well, I mean, it's a tricky. Look, I realize I'm a Nintendo fanboy, and look, if it were up to me, if I think Nintendo should leave these projects alone. That said, though, as I understand it, copyright law, like it's kind of an all or nothing thing. Like you sort of have to go after all of it, or you don't have much of a leg to go after any of it. Like if you let one of these things slide, then let's say somebody makes something out there that Nintendo just flat out does not, fucking, some game where, Wario is fisting Mario or something. Like they just don't want that shit out there. They want to crush that shit. You know what I mean? Like that's bad. That's really tainting the brand, as it were. From what I understand, like you kind of lose ground to go after that if you're letting other people have their fan games. So that's almost more that there needs to be some copyright reforming to our laws. That said, I would just generally see, that's the thing. Like everybody says, like just be like Sega. Sega lets all these Sonic hacks out there, but by the same time, I mean, there's Sonic shit going out there. I wish Sega would squash. I wish Sega would put the kibosh on fucking Sonic Chew. All right, I wish they'd put the kibosh on some of this autistic horse shit out there and tell these fuckers to knock it off and leave their parents' basement. All right. So I can understand, and I think it seems like with a wink and a nod, Nintendo tries to let that shit be out there for a little bit so that people can all get it, and then they shut it down. But I don't know. I'm let's see. Let's see what we got here. Super Metroid is serious business. In my family, we used to play it together. That's another one I have that I haven't had a chance to play through entirely. The only Metroid game I've played through entirely is Zero Mission. Other ones I just haven't. I'm currently playing through Fusion. It's very different than other Metroid games, but I, for one, kind of like it. I know it's very controversial to Metroid fans. That's what I'm playing through currently. But Zero Mission is probably, I mean, there's no point in playing the original Metroid if you can play Zero Mission. I'll say that much. Somebody says, Bechtloff, stop the stream right now and play Super Metroid. No, I mean, I get to it. It's on a list. Don't worry. I have it. All right. And I played through some of it. I just haven't played through the entirety of it. Let's see. Bechtloff, get Prime. It's amazing. I have the first Prime, actually. And it's one I just haven't had a chance to get to yet. I picked it up because I saw it at a good price. There's a lot of retro games I see, like when I see them at a good price, I pick them up, even if I'm not ready to hop into them yet. Tonight I'm actually hopping into Pac-Man World 2 on the PS2. Because I've heard those are pretty solid platformers, and I've heard 2 is the best. So I do want to give it a shot. Let's see. If you do a Twitch stream. I actually was thinking of doing a Twitch stream, but I mean, I'm not especially good at video games. I mean, I'm hardly, like, I'm not Dark Side Phil, but I'm not like a super fucking skilled guy at them either. So I don't know how entertaining a playthrough of video games would be. I mean, if a review is different because you're slicing together footage, you know what I mean? But a Let's Play, I'd be so afraid like I get stuck on one part and then it just becomes frustrating for people to watch. You know what I mean? Like, look, I'm hardly Dark Side Phil, but any Zelda game I've ever played through, there's always been like one moment in each one where I'm just kind of like, what the fuck do you want from me, game? And it's usually something stupid that's staring me right in the face, and I feel dumb afterwards. But for whatever reason, it just didn't click with me. And I'd be so afraid to do like a Let's Play where it's like I'm trying to figure out something stupid that I'm just overlooking. And it's just frustrating for people to watch. Like this dumbass can't get it. That's kind of why I don't like Let's Plays in general. Like the only time I'll ever watch a Let's Play on YouTube is if I'm on Etsy shopping for like ROM hack games on cartridges, and I see one I'm not familiar with. It's some sort of bootleg or ROM hack, and they don't have screenshots. I will quickly go on YouTube and watch about 30 seconds of fucking game footage and decide if I want to check it out. You know, because at the very least, if it's based on an existing game engine, I'll at least get an idea for it. You know what I mean? Or sometimes I'm kind of fascinated with the ROM hacks where somebody's very, very skilled and they can very creatively break the game, like that fucking half an A-press autistic guy does with Mario 64, or one of those crazy speed run or challenge runs where it's like, I'm going to play the original Zelda without a sword. You know, that kind of crazy shit. That's interesting to me, but just a general Let's Play, you got to be really, really funny to catch my attention with that. And you got to be playing something that's like obscure and ridiculous. You know? Let's see. Just do a stream while you play. Don't do a Let's Play. Half an A press. Yeah, that kind of shit. Yeah. Most Let's Plays I don't find that interesting, so I don't think if I don't understand what makes them interesting, I don't see how I can replicate it. You know what I'm saying? I don't see how I can make Let's Plays that everyone finds extremely interesting if I don't even understand why people find these things interesting in the first place. All right. Um, I mean, the only game I would, well, no, I should say the only game. There's a few games, but one of the only games I would be comfortable doing a Let's Play of would probably be Sonic 3 and Knuckles, because I could do a complete walkthrough. I wouldn't necessarily do a speed run, but I'd have all the fucking emeralds in a hurry. I'd completely beat it as all three playable characters. I mean, like I know that game inside and out. I know every damn square inch of that game. Um, if it's a game like that where I know it like the back of my hand, maybe I could do something. But other than that, probably not. Like Mario 3 is another one. I could do a Let's Play of. I know that game really, really damn well. Not quite Sonic 3 and Knuckles level, but I mean Sonic 3 and Knuckles was my summer one year when I was a kid. That was the thing I was all about for a summer there, at least. Till I had beaten the fucking out of it with all three of them guys. Let's see. Something about Korea girls here. Bunch of shit posting about Korea girls, and then gotta go fast. Yeah, I was talking about Sonic, so gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. Oh, the Sonic the Hedgehog comic book at Archie is still on this weird suspended hiatus, and there's some sort of licensing dispute. It hasn't been officially canceled, but there's some sort of dispute between Sega and Archie. It's really weird. Like it ended in the middle of a fucking story arc. And that was one of the most successful comic books out there. It was easily the most successful licensed comic book basically ever. The most successful video game inspired comic book. That was basically Archie's most successful comic book as a company. It's the most successful thing Sonic's basically had, in 10, 15 years, damn near. It's really weird. I don't know what's going on with that. Nobody knows, from what I understand. I've looked into it. I can't find it. In fact, they did out trade paperbacks of the second Sonic and Mega Man crossover that Archie did. And, they split it up into 3 volumes, and they put out volumes 2 and 3. Well, or 1 and 2. Well, 3 was supposed to come out this past month, and it didn't. And there's no release date for it now. So, I mean, that just shows you how, it's that's weird. I mean, we can't even print the trade of the end of this story arc. It's something's going on between those two companies, and from what I understand, nobody knows exactly what the dispute is. Let's see. I don't know. A bunch of people are arguing over whether or not you can date fucking Asian girls. I don't care about that kind of crap. I don't like when race mixing is like pushed on people. I think generally if you just let people, associate naturally, natural tribal instincts are going to preserve the different races, preserve diversity. There's not going to be a lot of race mixing. There's going to be a little bit along the edges, and that's harmless. Possibly, some could even argue it's beneficial in some cases. Gene pools can stagnate, but at the very least, it's harmless. It's not that big a damn deal. You want to save the fucking white race. Get the white race back in the church. All right. White race needs to get right with God again if you want to save the white race. All right. Socialism and traps isn't going to fucking save the white race. All right. The white race became this amazing thing that created Western civilization when it was Christianized. All right. We're a bunch of fucking, I mean, weren't as bad as some areas, but we weren't that much to fucking write home about before we were Christianized. That had this wonderful eugenic effect on us that Christianity tends to do. Um, let's see. I wrote a very good manga for you, Gaijin. Very culturally. I don't know what that shit posting is about. I know people shit posting about 3D PD. Anything else of interest here in the chat? Kaiser, you will change your Kaiser shit posting about 3D women are degenerate. So he says, Kaiser, you will change your mind after puberty. Andy then says, come on, Bechtloff, the white race will be fine. If there's one thing you never find in the Bible, it's God punishing his people for turning their backs on him. Let's see. Bechtloff, thoughts on Russia? I mean, just in general. Kind of a broad question. Yeah, generally, I'm okay with Russia. I'd like us to get along better with them. You know, my Kaiser says my school might get canceled tomorrow because it's still fucking snowing up here. Where the fuck do you live? The fuck is it still snowing? Damn. Let's see. Oh, Maine. Okay. Yeah, I guess up there still be snowing. Let's see. A bunch of people shit posting. Auntie Jim says, I'm actually going to do a cover-to-cover read-through of the Bible via audiobook on my commutes to work. Everyone should do that. Know your own religion. Yeah, audiobooks in the Bible. I actually have one of those in my car, too. Big old CD collection of it. Let's see. I saw stuff about those attacks. Oh, yeah, there was some sort of attack in Russia. Wasn't there like a nail bomb or something? I'm sure that was the Wiccans. That's the religion that's usually doing that, right? The Wiccans, or was it maybe the Methodists? They the ones doing it, or the Buddhists? A bunch of Buddhists killing people, or maybe it was that one religion that's always the one doing it. If you don't know what's in the Bible, you won't be able to defend it against those who attack it. Well, don't you know? According to a guy who fucks bananas and fantasizes about toddler butts, the Bible's just this disgusting book full of misogyny and homophobia and transphobia. What a fucking disgusting piece of shit that guy is. Like I feel like if you touched TJ, he'd be sticky. You know what I mean? Like, it just, what a vile piece of shit that guy is. I'd be embarrassed by him if I was an atheist. That's like, seriously, what a fucking, like, okay, like 10, 15 years ago, yeah, there was a lot of bad cultural baggage in Christianity. We had some embarrassing motherfuckers out there, all right, that were, but nowadays, I would argue atheism is the one that, like, how do you even fucking call yourself that without just like having to immediately qualify it like, oh, but yeah, I'm not like what you've seen, you know? I mean, those are some of the cringiest motherfuckers in the goddamn world. You know, it was just one thing I saw online where it was like this, it was this picture of like, it was the anal atheist and fucking Sargon and Armored Skeptic and that fucking blow up doll girlfriend of his showing head. They're fucking all sitting there like just this ridiculous smirks on their face. It was a drawing of them, but it was a very well done one. It was very realistically proportioned in the face. Very well done art. artwork of them, but you're all just like smirking and shit. And it's like everyone, I'm just looking at this like, if God is dead, it's only because he died laughing. All right. This is so fucking cringy. Didn't TJ accidentally jerk off on camera? No, Darkside Phil accidentally jerked off on camera. TJ very, very purposefully filmed himself pouring hot oil all over his balls and micro penis. Like literally his penis is like the end of your fucking pinky. All right. Like from the knuckle to the end of your pinky there. Like that's his penis. All right. And then he filmed himself pouring chocolate sauce all over his ass and shoving a banana up there. He filmed that horror show, and supposedly his girlfriend leaked it out there or something. So I mean, you could go on fucking like X Hamster or something and see that shit. If you were so inclined to scar yourself with that crap. Like honestly, you know what? I on the off chance you hear this, TJ, you should be proud because there is one way that you do challenge my faith in God. You challenge one tenet of my faith, and that is the tenet that all human beings have value. Because I look at you and I'm like, really? I don't know about that. Somebody says, I never cared for Shu. She just gets views for her looks. I mean, look, Matt Forney had a line in his one podcast where he was talking about, these fucking, he was saying, he was talking about Tommy Lauren, and how guys just, the Viagra Republicans just follow her so they can pull their bud to her. And he lumped Shu on head in this. And I would even lump Julie Borowski in this, although she's not as bad. But these are just kind of vapid skanks. And the thing is, like, Forney had the best line where he said, I have more respect for somebody who is a porn addict than who follows these fucking morons around acting like they have something to say. Here's the thing with Shonahan. She's done some videos that were amusing. She has decent comedic timing. I'll give her that. Some of her videos are all right. They're amusing enough. They don't deserve the amount of views they get, but they're amusing enough. But seriously, if you follow Shoe on Head thinking that she has anything really insightful to fucking say, yeah, you need to get your fucking dick wet already, all right? Because that is pathetic. The woman has nothing of fucking value to say, all right? She will parrot a few anti-feminist talking points, and she may do it in a very cute, funny way. And okay, that's all well and good. But no, if you ever are like, thinking about an issue and you're like, if only I could get fucking Shoe on Head's take on this so I can make some sense of it all, fucking kill yourself, all right? Let's see. Fuck Jackie Glenn. I don't know who that is. Let's see. I met a guy who was cheating on his girlfriend with porn stars. He would only jack off to certain porn stars, and it's so bad he couldn't even get hard for his own girlfriend. Huh. Well, that's pretty fucking sad. I don't know what to say to that. Let's see. Waiting for more comments here. Porn is an epidemic. It's ruining men. Bechtloff, when the hell did transgenderism even become a thing? Well, that's something they were pushing mostly here recently. I mean, I guess it's been a thing for a while, but man, very recently they started pushing it in a big damn way. Way more than they had in a long time. Sorry, somebody messaging me. Sorry. Let's see. If there's one thing I love, it's being lectured on how I'm anti-science by people who think you can have an XY chromosome in a penis and still be a girl. Yeah, that's you know that's always amusing. Transgenderism is horseshit. All right, I will certainly agree that there are people who have, I guess, gender dysphoria is the condition. But the solution here isn't to surgically mutilate their bodies. It's to fucking set their diseased mind right. Let's see. Again, these are the individuals who consider reason above all else. And that's the thing. Again, what I said earlier in the show here is it's never really about that with them. It's about it's about cummies. That's all it is with them. That's all the fucking is. It's about their cummies. That's always been what it is with them. Let's see. I think I'm probably going to wrap this up because I am running out of steam tonight. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for listening. And I do want to thank everybody for everybody who was very generous with me this weekend in the donations. Greatly appreciate it. And I think that's about all we got for tonight, folks. Thanks for listening. Bechtloff out.